Hello and welcome to another episode of the Contractor Growth Show. My name is Mark. I'm your host. Today I'm really excited to speak with Brad Carpenter at Dynamic Air in Boston, Massachusetts, an amazing company, independent manufacturer's rep for institutional HVAC systems, doing high-end custom work. Brad, thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, thanks for having me, Mark. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah, so you guys are doing incredible work with, large healthcare institutions, laboratories, very high-end kind of custom engineered solutions for air recovery systems and HVAC. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about the history of the company and where things are at today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. History of the company. Actually, the company was founded by Rick McGinley and Ed Hensington years ago. Ed retired out of the business, and I have to apologize. I'm not familiar with the exact year. And at that time, Rick McGinley brought our current CEO into the mix, and Jim Shiminski. They took it off. It grew very successful. The main thing that I would tell you today, I wasn't here for it, but I can feel it today still that they built in this company was culture. And they built an employee first culture that, when I first evaluated coming over here, I was at a point in my career where I was ready for a quality of life kind of change. I needed an adjustment. I was burning the candle from both ends. And I thought, this would be a great environment to come over and into. And they built an environment where work-life balance is very important. And it's important to everyone differently, right? Some people, they like to work. There was a time when I really enjoyed working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. I did it. It was hard, but I enjoyed it. And that's how I got my work balance. But I got to a point in life where I realized you got to enjoy it. You can't work all that time, right? So I found it in a different way. I found it in a different way here. But when I came here, it just the people, the quality of people that we have, the level of technicality that they have, it was like no other, and it stood out to me right away. And for me, I come from a background of, you know, in whether you're in sports, I use the sports analogy a lot around our office. I'm a big sports guy, but in sports, you might be lacking in skill, right, and ability, but you can make it. Hard work is the difference maker in this world, right? And yeah, I might not be as good, whether it's soccer, dribbling the ball, or shooting it, or hockey, stick handling, whatever, but my heart and my determination's the equalizer. And for me, that's who I was. And when we combine that healthy hard work with good quality life balance, we've created a organization that almost in a way self-manages. Incredible individuals doing incredible things. They work very hard. They're incredibly passionate about the company, and it's been a pleasure to be a part of.
That is amazing. And I mean, I get the sense, you guys are doing serious, like highly engineered projects. You guys have got like a focus on kind of environmental focus. And so you guys can engineer solutions where there's, a great amount or 100% of like, energy recovered in the systems. And these are, hospital level projects, all of them engineered. I get the sense that the people on your team are so talented that they've actually got plenty of options, right? And that they could actually go anywhere that they want, but they stay with the company and you guys have created this incredible culture. I mean, I'd love to learn more about this. I mean, this work-life balance piece and creating the culture. I mean, how did the original
Yeah.
founders set that up and how do you guys, go with that today?
It's unique, and I think part of it's the industry that we're in that it's 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 a hard one to answer, but at the end of the day, it has to do with the culture and the respect and the trust that we have for everyone. When you come to work at Dynamic Air, the one thing that we'll tell you right away is when we hire you, we trust you. We trust you right away when we hire you. It's your job to maintain our trust. But from there, we're very entrepreneurial. entrepreneurial. You can do anything. Like, we've got projects where, trying to think of the best way I can explain it, where we'll integrate multiple manufacturers together, right? Where we have, um, we sell built locally here, Cambridgeport air handling units, built in Massachusetts, be another great company to get for you to get on this program. Actually, seen considerable growth right along with us. Actually, probably they've actually probably seen larger growth than us in the last 7, 8 years. We've grown substantially revenue wise. Obviously, there's been a boom with it, but you've got to capitalize on it and you've got to find ways to do it. And early on, when COVID hit and there was this supply chain shortage, we found ways to work with our customers to get them the product, get them in line to get the product as quickly as they could, get them assurance that they were going to get their equipment. We ran into situations where we couldn't get the equipment, and we were bringing equipment in from Canada, and we couldn't get over the border to go even look at it, right? and
Uh-huh.
and that there's the cool story, without giving too much detail away, but I actually ironically grew up in Canada, very proud American citizen today, don't get me wrong, but I was able to use the resource that I had from where I grew up and hired some of my friends from high school's kids to go out to the go out to Eastern Canada to help out in the manufacturing floor to get people on the floor to get the product built in time and get here in time. So it's like, we'll do anything at all stops to make it happen for our customers. And it's a mindset. And nothing's off the limits. Like, you know what I mean? If something's not going right, we're gonna get on a plane, we're gonna go take a look at it tomorrow, today. I've got salesmen that if they're struggling to get a submittal for a customer, and the customer's calling them every day, where's my submittal? And I assure you, they're trying. It's just, there's lots of complications that come up with it. Manufacturers are handling lots of things. That's what we do. How can we bridge the gap to get them what we want? Guys have gotten in cars and driven up to Montreal to help the manufacturer get the submittal out. Not that they couldn't do it or weren't capable of it, but they've got issues. They've got their own fires going on too, right? As much as we all think our fire is the biggest, there's usually a bigger fire. When you're not getting those responses, right? Like, we're all, at the end of the day, all the manufacturers that we represent and the employees that work here and represent those manufacturers, at the end of the day, we don't ignore calls. We're not, it's like, we want to do everything we can and, like, to help you guys. We sit in this unique position, as I mentioned to you at the beginning of the call, where we have three customers. Our customers are the engineer, the contractor installing, the contracting team, because there's a general contractor, there's a mechanical contractor that usually purchases it, but then there's an electrical contractor that powers it. And then you got the owner that writes all the checks, and we got to keep everybody happy, and we got to keep information moving. And we're like, the word dynamic in the name Dynamic Air couldn't be more appropriate. We have some of the most dynamic people you will ever see. And I mean it. And we have people that they're incredibly strong in certain areas, and where they're weak, we have other people that are strong, and we support each other. And I really, I just believe that business is run very similar to sports and athletics, and there's a lot of synergies that line up there. And I use it almost to a point where I'm sure people in our company are sick of hearing about it, but I just think they line up so well.
Man, I love it. Do you have a sports background yourself?
I do. Yeah. Yeah, I do. I was
Uh-huh.
a little bit of a wannabe hockey player.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to
Fantastic.
play.
So, I mean, you guys also have a kind of a full 537 pipe fitters service branch that's
And local 17, I should mention.
local
We have the
17.
sheet metal side as well. I didn't, yeah.
Okay, and it sounds like that's been going well. That's kind of a something you guys are really kind of focused on right now. Tell me about that. Pipe fitters
So
service branch in local 17.
yeah, that has been, I tell you, one of the most important things that we've done as a company in the last, I'd say we kicked it off about 7 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, right? Kind of as I took over is when we started that group. It's been it's been a very unique challenge for me, in that it's my first time that I've ever taken anything on but not been the guy that did everything. And that You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and like really like test your skills as a manager and as a person, and empower people to do things. And it's been a learning process for me, and finding the right personalities that mesh, and all of that. And I'll tell you, I found a guy in Kevin Belanger. He's our VP of service. He's just done an incredible job for us as a small group, trying to get established, technicians to come over and work for us. And Kevin's just he's built the culture. It was hard at first, and now like people want to come. The technicians would like to come work for us. We've got a young apprentice that won a national award in one of the competitions through the apprentice school at 537. Like we're attracting a lot of top technicians, top salespeople, and it's just doing things right the right way. It might not get there as quick as you want, but taking your time and building things with structure has really allowed us to for things to pay off in the long run.
Wow.
But yeah, Kevin, he's done it. Like it started I mean, when he was running the group and in a van, right? Like it just didn't have enough. And I think we have 7 or 8 technicians in vans on the road, and that supports all of our startups. We offer preventive maintenance contracts for all the product that we sell. We touched earlier on one of the products in Convecta. It's a high performance energy runaround coil. It's one of the few things in the HVAC industry that the manufacturer will guarantee. Like in the construction industry, it's hard to guarantee things, even when you intend to. Like, and then when it doesn't go right to do the right things, it's difficult. And part of wanting to have that service group was when things didn't go well, I could take control, not control, but be sure that things were going to get fixed correctly, quickly. Um, I find often when there's issues in construction, if we spend 100 days figuring it out, we spend the first 50 figuring out whose fault it is, right? And it's like, let's just get rid of the first 50% of the time right away, and we'll all save a bunch of money and heartache, right?
Uh-huh.
And so where it's like, all right, if I've got my guys, we can just go in and we can work alongside people, and be there, not just hear back what went wrong. Your guy did, just have people in those, and on the front lines, as I call it, and contributing, like helping solve the problem, not would you find like those people that doesn't help.
Amazing. So, I mean, the 537 pipe fitters service branch and local 17, I mean, you said that's one of the most important initiatives you guys have done. Is that because that's kind of the connection where you've got these, huge kind of intense kind of, expensive systems, but this is kind of the boots on the ground piece where you guys are getting in there and kind of connecting the dots with, anything that may go wrong and actually doing supporting the installation piece. Is that kind of what this is?
That's that's a great analogy of it. Absolutely. I can take it a little bit deeper in that. Traditionally, like I think historically, rep firms doing what we do don't want to get into service, don't want to get into that. And it's a tricky thing, because at the end of the day, I ultimately most mechanical contractors have a service group, and they want to take care of the service. They want to take care of the buildings too. And I'm not looking to become my customer's competitor in any degree, but we have such complex pieces of equipment that you really need to specialize in it. Like I talked about Convecto. It comes from Switzerland. We've sent all our technicians over there for intensive training. They're certified. They're very high level. They still need support from our counterparts in Switzerland, which man the telephone line 365, 7 days a year. But you're right. Like it's just the level of complexity has gone so high that I need to be. It's more important for me to just take care of the problem than get into whose fault it is along those lines.
Wow.
Um, yeah, it's been a big success. It's allowed for us to take care of problems. It's allowed for me to do things like maybe sometimes something goes wrong on a job and it's just sour, right? But you got it right, and you got a customer with just that uneasy feeling, like you shouldn't have had to do startup twice. Sometimes you do. It's hard. Things happen. It's mechanical equipment. There's electronic controls, like magic happens, right? But it also allows me to, at sometimes as an owner, sit there and say to the guy, you know what? I really try to do things the right way. You don't feel like this, but maybe, and now I can, for at no cost to me, put my money where my mouth is. And maybe I extend a warranty to them to, it just gives me little tools to be able to do things to help everyone want to do business with us again is really, really the key of it. But kind of where you're going to is long story longer. Traditionally, we don't have service groups as rep firms, and like we control, like we would provide the air handler, and they're just components that make up the system that heats the building. Well, the line I talked about in Convecta and the way we've incorporated, we're actually now taking responsibility for a lion's share of the heat of the building. And when you do that, I also feel like we've done 15, 20 years worth of, what I call building a brand, right? And a reputation and a name. And if we have one of those buildings go sideways on us, we would undo 10, 15, 20 years worth of work that took us a long time to build. So we want to make sure we get the tools in the hands of the building owners so they're confident the building's going to run and there's going to be no problems. Not that there's not going to be problems in a backup, but there is
Mechanical
problems.
systems. Uh-huh.
And I use this analogy. I like to surround myself with people that like to run towards the fire, not from the fire. You know what I mean? And when there is that problem, we're going to be there with you, help you figure it out, not on the phone. What'd you find out?
Yeah, right.
I want to be standing with you. And
That
my
is
guys want to
amazing.
stand with you too. Like they want to own it. They want to help you. And that's just the big part of the culture of who we have.
That's amazing, Brad. Man, I've got the best job in the world. I get to talk to people so smart with amazing energy and just doing running incredible companies. So we had talked about, I mean, there's other companies that are, kind of in your niche, so to speak, but you guys are really different. I mean, you guys, I mean, first of all, you're offering, I mean, these aren't, kind of supermarket, units. I mean, these are like high level, high spec, custom engineered solutions. But also, I mean, some of the other aspects of your kind of culture and different things you talked about. But I mean, how would you define the difference of dynamic air between other folks that are in, adjacent niches or a similar niche?
Like a competitor?
Yeah, and not even getting into names, but just to say that, I mean, what sets you guys apart in what you do?
Gotcha. So traditionally, a rep firm hires salesmen and they'll have people that would call on contractors. They'll have people that'll call on owners and they'll have people that call on engineers and with various levels of cross, some guys might call on engineers and contractors and owners, right? And what you see is it's hard and there's very few that call on all, and it's very unique skill set in what we do. At the end of the day, you need engineers to call on engineers, right? And the people that engineers personalities are different than contractors personalities, and you're really trying to put people in positions to succeed and to find people that fit all those molds is a little bit like finding a needle in a haystack. And what a lot of rep firms do is they say, okay, here's your skill set and you can do all of that, or you focus on this and you focus on that. And that's really where we get different. We don't do that. We focus on the engineer. All of our accounts are broken up by the engineer. If I'm calling on one particular engineer and they've got a job, because that's where the jobs start for us. They start with design, and we want to design our product, which we feel is, depending on your application, we want to apply the best product for the right application and work with the engineer to write the specifications and the performance to get exactly what they want. Like, it's also different now. 15 years ago, when I first got into this business, if you were within a degree on your leaving air temperature of your coil, they'd make it work. It was fine. Nowadays, it's like you've got to be within a decimal point of the degree because it has an effect on the heat pump and the performance of the, all the other, just these buildings are so intricate and complex, and the people designing them are, it's the engineering talent pool right now that we're seeing that is designing these buildings. It's off the charts. Yeah, I went to mechanical engineering school to design cars, and I ended up in the HVAC industry, and it's treated me very well. Like, there's tons of work, and it's now growing in a way that's becoming very challenging, for a lot of different types of engineers. It's the future of it is off the charts, and the direction that we're going, and we need to. And so to come back around on the question is, yeah, we focus on engineers. The Our sales engineers will work with a engineer in an engineering firm to work to design the building, and then they'll issue their plans to all the contractors, and it's that engineer's responsibility to track down all those contractors, figure out what they want. And the reasoning for that is, we believe in cradle to grave. We believe in, if I work with you, I shouldn't be able to say, oh, well, the contracting guy did that, it wasn't me. I
Uh-huh.
find it can be like very like excuse driven, and for me it's like, well, we talked about it, and I know it, and I told you I know it. I understand it didn't get on your drawings, but I still looked out for you to make sure it was taken care of and it was there, right? So
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's we I believe that it holds us accountable, it makes us sharper, and in the end, at the end of the day, it's probably been what's made it hardest for us to scale, because, like I said, it's a needle in a haystack. But it's also why I let in with, like, I believe the strongest in the people that we have, because every one of them can do it in the people that we've built. And every one of them, they're all A players in this industry. And it's been it's really cool to be able to say that to you. Like, a lot of people, they could say it and not believe it, but to be able to say it and be proud of it, that's the value, that's the beauty.
Wow. So, if you're listening to this or watching this here, I just want to point out some things. I mean, Brad Carpenter, president, Dynamic Air, presided over huge growth in the company. And what Brad just said, and what you just said, Brad, I mean, it just really, like, it's like a lightning bolt to me, man. I mean, working with A players, I mean, creating the kind of place that A players want to work, and then bringing in A players, and then letting them do their work, and creating a company that has got an amazing culture, has got an amazing growth, that's doing, just very high level. I mean, I can only imagine, right? The level of, like, engineering you guys are doing. I mean, this is like way, way above my, anything I'm, familiar with at that level of skill. And it's just amazing to hear the story of what happened when, the right culture is in place, when the right leadership is in place, the right team comes in, filling in things like the, 537 pipe fitters, service branch, local 17, realizing there's a gap over here that we need to come in and fill. We're not taking, some competitors work, or our suppliers work, I'll say, um, from them, but we're fitting in what needs to be fit in over here so that we can deliver just a superior product that's, like, right on spec. What an incredible story, Brad. If folks are if a large institution is looking for, an engineered solution, whether it be labs, some white labs, clean labs, healthcare, a high-end commercial, you know a custom engineered solution for their HVAC and recovery system, what are a couple of the best ways to get in touch with you guys?
The best way to get in touch with us directly would be probably go through our website, www.dac-hvac.com. There's ways to contact us through that. Um, I feel very common. If you're doing a big building, you've got an engineer, talk to them, ask them about us. I'm sure they're familiar, and could, I also, what's the right word? You know, set up a meeting in conjunction, because I also find it's like one thing's for us to go work direct with the owner, but it's again, it's a team, right? We got to work with the engineer to make sure everybody's getting what they want. They've been hired to do a job too. So at the end of the day, it's, there's our website, and if they're that strong and they have an engineer on board, I would feel confident that they could talk with them and they would have ways to get to us directly.
Fantastic. So dac-hvac.com is the best way to get in touch. There's contact information there. Get your engineer in contact with Dynamic Air and start the conversation. Amazing, amazing company and amazing story. Brad, thank you so much for taking your valuable time to be on the show with us today.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark.